this 6-1, and again it's slope, but we're going to put slope part 2. Slope part 2, the return. Yeah, you can just keep it going in that lesson, but just for me to distinguish it, I put part 2, the revenge of the slope. The revenge of the line. How about that? Okay. Let's look at a little bit of review here. What was the main way I wanted you to see slope as? There's one main way, it had a little asterisk. It should be in your notes. Walker?
Rise over run.
Good. It's going to be rise over run. And if you want to understand what that even means, it just means the change in the verticality, or the y-axis, over the change in the x-axis, or the horizontal run. Okay. That is something you guys, if you haven't memorized already, it should start getting there by today. This is the biggest note of the lesson, with words I should say. If you have 2 points on a line, let's see. Can anyone fill in the rest with stuff we already talked about yesterday? If you have 2 points on a line, what can you determine?
That when you connect them, it comes into a line.
Okay, 2 points give you a line. And then if you have 2 points on a line, what were you able to do yesterday in your homework? You were able to determine the slope. So if you have 2 points on a line, this time I'm going to give you the points in this form. X sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. So those are points, and they apply to any line. And I don't know what the points are right now, but we'll look at examples where they give us points. And if you have those 2 points, the slope the slope m, because we know that slope is referred to by m, can be found with if you have 2 points on a line, x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2, the slope m can be found with, and then Wyatt, he already gave it to you guys. So we looked at this last year, and it's been a while, so I understand if you don't quite remember it. But you're going to review it this year. You reviewed it, or you went over it last year, and you're going to go through it next year, and then after that, the following year. So you think this is important?
Yes.
Hopefully by maybe next year or the year after at least, you'll get this memorized, no problem. This is the formula we're going to look at this morning. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. What does that mean? If you were to figure out these values, you can find the slope, m. You find m. Okay, this is critical for this morning, this little formula right here. And it's also going to be critical to, this afternoon, because we're going to go over this again in a different lesson. So here, I want us to understand that this is a formula. It is an equation. What does m always stand for in this chapter? Slope. And then what's going to be tough is y sub 2, y sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 1, and then subtracting. Okay? That's going to be a tough part, because if I were just subtracting positive numbers, wouldn't that be easy? But then what do we do now? We subtract integers. So negatives and positives with each other. That could throw people off. So be careful with that. And a little note here, x sub 1 and x sub 2 cannot equal one another. Does anyone know why they are not allowed to equal one another? Think of what happens if they did. Eli? Okay, actually, you know what? It's not a function. You're right. It could still be a line, but there's something about this right here that says don't have those two equal one another. Katie? Whoa! If these two are the same number, what's a number minus itself? 0. Are you allowed to have a fraction with a denominator of 0? No. In fact, that would give you an undefined slope, which means what kind of line are you? Vertical line. Vertical line. Close. It's either horizontal or vertical. In this case, vertical. That's good that you guys are pulling that out because we're going to go over that this afternoon again. Okay. So that's an important equation. Let's look at example 2, which is on page 326. 326. And I'm going to work this one out a couple ways, and then I'll give you some problems to work out on your own. Okay. Example 2. Determine the slope of a line that passes through 2, -5, and 7, -10. Okay, yesterday what you guys did for your homework was you looked at the graphs, didn't you? And then you had to find the points, and then you could find the slope, right? But in this case, are they giving you the graph? No, they're giving you 2 points, so you have 2 methods to do it, like 2 main methods. You could draw your coordinate plane, put the points, connect them, find the slope. We're not going to do it that way if they don't give us a diagram. You could, but we're not going to. So what we're going to do is use that little formula up there. What are the 2 points? What are the set of ordered pairs that we have? 2 and -5. 7, -10. It's important that you write them correctly, correct signs, everything, because one little part could throw your whole answer off. Okay, 2 ways to work this out. I'm going to work it out using the first method, A. I'm going to go from this point to this point. Okay, do you guys remember that on the line? I went from left to right, or you can go from right to left. But I'm going to go here. All right. What is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2? Where do those come from? You pick. Okay, ready? This is going to be x sub 1, and that's going to be y sub 1. What do you think this is going to be? 7. What's that going to be? Y sub 2. You guys get it? So it's just talking about the first x, the first y, the second x, the second y. That's all it's saying. And now we're going to use that equation. All right, m, who can give it to me, equals
y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2.
Okay, good. Now, all you have to do now is substitute the appropriate values in this equation. Okay, I'm trying to find m, so I'm going to find what these are since they give them to me already. And you got to be careful here, and this is how I do it. Parenthesis minus parenthesis equals parenthesis minus parenthesis. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going to substitute each variable with parentheses, and then I know it's subtracting, right? This is going to keep all my signs straight. If I don't do this, it's really easy to mix everything up. All right, what's y sub 2 up here? -10. What's y sub 1? -5. You see how these negatives, like negative, 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 that can throw us off if we're not careful? So just be careful. All right, what's x sub 2? What's x sub 1? All right, so did I put everything where it belongs? Okay, good. So now all I have to do is simplify this. What's -10 minus -5? Well, wasn't it -10 plus 5? Good. So what's that? -5. That's the numerator. And then 7 minus 2. Okay. And then how do I simplify that completely? What's that complete slope now in simplest form? Yes, -1. So m equals -1. That's your answer. Okay? So did you have to graph these points on a coordinate plane to figure out the slope? No. You know what you're actually doing? You're doing the same thing you did on that graph. When you put in those points and then you found that slope wherever it was, you were doing this process, but you were doing it in like diagram form. Okay? So that's your answer. Now, I said that there were 2 ways to do this, and I'm going to do it the second way. Yeah. Okay, give me those points again, Benton. Give me the points from the example.
Or actually, do you want me to do like the order pairs?
Oh, sorry, the order pairs, yes.
The 2 is -5, and then 7 is -2.
Okay, what did I do in this problem that's different from the first problem? Switch them. Uh-oh. So instead of looking at the points from left to right, for example, I'm going to look at it from right to left. Okay, so I just went a different order. Okay, what's x sub 1? 7. What's y sub 1?
Negative.
What's x sub 2? What's x sub y sub 2? It's hard to say. It's hard for me to say. What's y sub 2, x sub 2? So I hope this makes sense. Thankfully, I can write things down. Okay, are these good? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use that same process. And the reason I go through it twice is because I want you to know it doesn't matter which point you pick first. You're going to have to get the same answer if you do it correctly. So someone give me the slope formula.
Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus.
Okay. So now what are we going to do? We're going to substitute each of those variables with their appropriate value. And I'm telling you right now, if you put parentheses for all the variables, it keeps all those signs straight. Because trust me, on that last one, it's very easy just to say minus negative 5 minus 10 or whatever order it was. Well, if you're careful, even in your mind, you could try it. But it's easy to just mess one little thing off. And then you're done. You know, it's actually cool. Let me answer that. I was talking to another math teacher, and she brought up, I didn't bring it up, it's like, I'm a pen and paper kind of person. I'm like, oh. It's like, yeah, I write my problems, and I work them out, and then I can show it to anybody. I'm like, huh, so am I. I like writing things down, because it shows you what I did. And if I mess up, which does Mr. A mess up? Yeah, a lot. Wow. Actually, I would say a lot. You know, I've messed up like probably hundreds of times, thousands maybe tens of thousands. I don't know.
All lies.
No, I have, and I would say,
Not once.
you know, even thinking about as a young, I've probably messed up like maybe tens of thousands of times, messed up, just did some mess up.
I messed up in like the past 17 weeks, Mr.
Yeah, there's a streak going here now. Yeah, I'm gonna break it right now, basically. But listen, from those mistakes, I've been able to grow from them and get a little bit better. And then if I ever do a perfect problem, like if I work this out perfectly, you know who gave me the ability to do it?
God.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't even my parents. It wasn't even my great math teachers that I had. It's God. And who gives you the ability to do problems correctly? Yeah, the Lord himself. No, I'm only a facilitator of this. All right, what's y sub 2 up here?
Negative 5.
What's y sub 1?
Negative 10.
What's x sub 2?
2.
And x sub 1.
7.
All right, so you put the numbers where they belong. And here we go. Negative 5 minus negative 10, which is negative 5 plus 10. So 5. And then 2 minus 7. Uh-oh, that is not what we got the first time. What do you get when you simplify that?
Negative 1.
I'm gonna mess up today. I can feel it. I just feel it. It's like shooting a free throw. I'm gonna miss it. All right. How many of you guys seem to be getting this? Can I have you practice just maybe one or two? All right, on page 329, do number 9. On 329, up above, do number 9. Find the slope that passes through those 2 points. And you know what I'm going to say? Just make it easy on yourselves and just do the first ordered pair is x sub 1, y sub 1. Second pair is x sub 2, y sub 2. Just do it in the order they give it. But you can do it in reverse order. Okay, if you're going to just go from order here, what's your y sub 2? Y sub 1.
Wait, what?
X sub 2.
9.
X sub 1.
7.
All right, so these are the numbers that you're subtracting in this order. -1 minus -4.
3.
And 9 minus 7.
2.
I think it's 2.
Just 2? 9 minus 7. Gotcha. Okay, so listen carefully. Your answer is m equals 3/2. The slope equals 3/2. Does anyone know what the rise over the run is on this problem? Yes?
Is the rise 3 and
The rise is up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. So you can kind of picture the lines going like this. Okay? How do I know that from left to right it's going to go upward? From left to right it's going to go upward. How do I know that?
It's positive.
It's positive slope. All right, guys, here we go. I'm going to give you a tough one here. Number 11, same page, number 11. Yes. Now, yeah, just looking at the problem looks kind of tough. Put them where they belong. See what happens. Number 11. Uh-oh. All right, so what's -1 minus 1?
0.
Sorry, -1 minus 1.
Oh, wait, no, this is.
And what's 0.75 minus 0.75? Uh-oh. So what's the slope? Undefined. Okay. Let's see here. I put the slope as undefined. All right. Who can give me first? What kind of line is it? Go, spit it out. It's a vertical line. Where does it cross the x-axis? .75. Doesn't it cross there? Because it's always going to be like if this is 1, it's always going to be 0.75 right here. X is always going to be 0.75 no matter what y is. The -2 is just you're just picking 2 points like here to here. If you do the rise, it's -2, so down 2. And then how much did you go over? 0. So this number actually can be anything out there, right? Because what's anything over 0? Undefined. So you could have picked these 2 points, or you could have picked these 2 points. They would have given us different coordinates, and it would have been down 7 over 0, and it's still undefined. So that -2 is just a number there giving you your rise between 2 points. Okay. You guys okay with those?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's half of the second half of the lesson. Okay, I want you guys for a few minutes to work on 21 to 29 odd. Yay. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay, yo.
Yay.
Do them. 21 to 29. I'll put them up here. 21 to 29 odd.
Sheet of paper or notebook?
Do it in your notebook, actually, because, yes, it's classwork, technically. Sorry, and if you didn't do it, it's okay. You just put it in there. And I'm going to start the second part of this half in a few minutes. So just do as many as you can. Page 329. Okay, Swivl. I'm going to pause.